Diane Macedo, we want to get right to breaking news. Dallas law enforcement is responding to a shooting at an ICE facility. Police say a shooter is down from a self-inflicted injury after at least 3 people were shot. Let's bring in ABC's chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky and former FBI agent Brad Garrett for more. Aaron, what do we know so far?
So far, Diane, we understand that the shooting occurred in a Sallyport area of this ICE facility in Dallas. It appears that several people have been shot, some fatally, according to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem a short while ago. The shooter is dead of a inflicted gunshot wound on the roof of a building. And so it appears that the shooter, believed to be a young man, maybe in his 20s or 30s, according to sources, was positioned as sniper type fire. We're still waiting for law enforcement officials to confirm all of this, but that does appear to be the case. The shooter is dead, inflicted gunshot wound. Several people have been shot, some fatally, others rushed to the hospital with injuries. No idea yet who exactly has been shot. We just heard the acting director of ICE say that this occurred in a Sallyport area where they do move detainees, but we're waiting for officials to say for sure who the victims are here.
Brad, what do you think investigators are looking into at this early stage?
To make sure that it's just one person. Now, they're only talking about one that Aaron mentioned, but the issue quickly is they're going to have to sweep all the other buildings in the proximity of where this shooting occurred. And they're also going to have to quickly figure out who this guy is, where he's from, who he's connected to. Typically, as we've talked so many times, these are lone actors. And my guess is that only based on what we know at this moment, that's the case here, but you can't rule it out until you know. And of course, the second question would be, who was his target? I mean, certainly suggestions would be Sallyport at 7 a.m., which is typically shift changes for many law enforcement agencies. So we don't know the answer to that yet, but I would be interested to know more about that.
And Aaron, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem just tweeted about this. What's she saying?
She's saying that confirming the shooting at the ICE detention facility in Dallas. She says details are still emerging, but there are multiple injuries and fatalities. As we've reported, the shooter is deceased by an inflicted gunshot wound, according to the Homeland Security Secretary's tweet. And she says, we don't know the motive yet. We know that our ICE law enforcement is facing unprecedented violence against them. It must stop. This is the second shooting at an ICE facility. There was one in the El Paso area not long ago that I think you and I discussed, Diane. So we know that ICE has come under threat, has come under attack, but even the Homeland Security Secretary concedes they don't know the motive. Was the shooter aiming for ICE agents or at the detainees that they deal with? Those are two different things, but it may not make a difference at this point. The shooter is dead, found on a rooftop.
All right. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises to the Most High. And this situation is still unfolding. It happened about 7 a.m. in Dallas, Texas, which would have put it at 9 a.m. on the East Coast, where this suspected gunman fired from a sniper position on a rooftop. They said it's believed that the young person is to be a young man in his 20s or 30s. However, they have his carcass because they said he unalived himself. So why is not the picture shown already? Once again, there's no worry about him, fleeing or somebody helping him because he's deceased. Now I'm going to show you what some of the officials said at the press conference after this. But one thing that sticks out to me is the way they are trying to already frame the narrative that ICE officials are some sort of a target. Now, there supposed to have been some shooting at another ICE facility in El Paso, Texas, a while back. Never heard anything about it. However, they are trying to spin the narrative of law enforcement being under attack. However, the only people who were shot in this attack are the detainees. That means the people who are being held, some people feel like illegally or without right, at these ICE detention facilities. And they said that that happened in a Sally Port where they transport or they hold detainees before they move them and ship them out. And so the fact that this gunman would shoot detainees. Now, if he's a sniper, if he's a professional, if he is someone who is of expertise and he meant to shoot the ICE enforcement officers, then those would be the people who would be shot. And so due to the fact that there are ICE detainees who were among the fatalities, now some people are saying 3 people were dead. Some people are saying 3 people were shot. Some people are saying 1 was dead and 2 were shot. I've seen an article that says 4 people were shot, because so now we don't know. Details are kind of sketchy, but what we do know is someone shot at the ICE facility. Now, I haven't been following all of the ICE hysteria because, a lot of people feel certain ways about it, in which, I can see it from both sides of the fence, but evidently I would presume that this may be somebody of Hispanic or Latin descent or immigrant descent who has some sort of vendetta against the ICE agencies around the country who are rounding up, deporting people justly and unjustly, and detaining people for this ICE mission. And you hear the governor or that lady tweet saying, okay, this is an attack against law enforcement. It seems like they always want to spin the narrative, but they never talk about the attacks law enforcement have on regular citizens. And so I am going to play a little bit of this press conference real quick so that you can see what, the officials on the ground are saying about this event. And once again, this video is fair use for literary and commentary purposes only.
All right. Let me start off by saying that I'm a person who believes very, very strongly in the power of prayer, and that prayer changes things. And so I'm going to ask everyone, please join me in praying for the families of the folks who lost their lives today. Pray for the speedy recovery for those who are hurt and were injured in what happened today. But maybe even more to the point, we're a country and a city that needs prayer.
Thank you, Mayor. Today at approximately 6:40 a.m., we received a assist the officer call. We responded to the call, got to the scene, and we later learned that we had 4 individuals that were shot, 2 of them deceased, including the shooter. The DPD was able to locate the shooter who was deceased. We're going to be working this investigation shoulder to shoulder with our federal partners. The FBI is on scene, and right now I'm going to introduce you to the SAC of the Dallas Field Division, FBI Joe Rumrock.
Yeah, good morning. My name's Joe Rothrock. I'm the special agent in charge of the Dallas FBI Field Office. I want to first start by thanking our partners in local law enforcement, specifically the Dallas Police Department, for their quick and timely response. I can confirm at this time that the FBI is investigating this incident as an act of targeted violence. It is unfortunately just the most recent example we've seen of targeted violence, to include here in North Texas, where back on July 4th, we saw a coordinated attack carried out against an immigration detention center in Alvarado, Texas. What I can also share with you is that early evidence that we've seen from rounds that were found near the suspected shooter contain messages that are anti-ICE in nature. Again, this is just the most recent example of this type of attack. This will be a whole of government response. There will be no resource not utilized to bring all those individuals who are responsible to bring them to justice and to hold them accountable. While we're not releasing identities of any victims at this time, what I can confirm for you is no members of law enforcement were hurt during this attack. If any member of the public has information that would help the FBI's investigation, I would ask that you please report that to 1-800-CALL-FBI. Again, any piece of information will be helpful, but this will be an ongoing investigation between us, a number of federal partners, and our local partners, again, to ensure that anyone responsible is held accountable. With that, I will turn it over to my counterpart from the ICE Enforcement and Removal Office.
Good morning. My name is Joshua Johnson. I'm the acting field office director for ICE Dallas. I'll be brief with my comments, but I do want to start off by saying thank you to the Dallas Police Department, Dallas FBI, HSI, CBP, ETF, and virtually every law enforcement officer in North Texas for your support. This is the second time I've had to stand in front of you and talk about a shooter at one of my facilities. And I think that the takeaway from all of this is that the rhetoric has to stop. There are people out there who are seeing what is being placed online, and they're coming and they're doing acts of violence against ICE employees. So that's kind of all I have for today, is that it's just got to stop. It's dangerous, and people are losing their lives. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for coming. We really appreciate it. Again, thank you all so much. As it was said here today, if you do have any information, reach out to 1-800-CALL-FBI.
All right, so there you see the minimal information given by the press conference. They had the mayor up there, the black mayor, talking about prayer. I had to fast forward him. Then they had the FBI guy saying that this was anti-ICE in nature. And then they brought the Dallas head of the ICE field division talking about, previous attack. All of this, once again, is being framed as an attack on law enforcement. But it may be an attack on the reasoning behind the law enforcement, which means the rounding up of citizens who have been here or immigrants who have been here living a normal life, and then they feel like they are being targeted, or regular people are being rounded up and put in these places and check for ID and check for status, which there has to be some sort of animosity towards these individuals. And they're saying that the gunman had some sort of ammunition, and I'll show it to you. They're saying that these are some bullets that were found by the sniper, and they have the anti-ICE message on them. And, we have to be careful about these things as what they call false flags. As you heard that guy say, we're going to stop at no resource, and we're going to spare no expense to make sure that everybody who is responsible for this, and we're going to keep carrying out our mission. So sometimes these things are done because you notice no law enforcement was shot, only detainees. The victims of both circumstances. So they will kind of use instances like this to rev up ICE, or to get ICE more aggressive in the execution of their duties, or to get law enforcement more aggressive in the execution of their duties, saying, okay, well, these guys are being targeted. They say, well, you heard the guy with the cowboy hat said people are losing their lives. Well, what about all the people who lose their lives when they come in contact with law enforcement? Those lives seem not to matter. As you heard them say, well, fortunately, no members of law enforcement were hurt. Like the other people who got hurt, it don't matter. They're not releasing those names. And then again, they're not releasing the identity or the pictures of the shooter. So we're going to see how long that it takes them to release the identity of this shooter, because once again, his name and face should be plastered all over the place since, he's deceased. And I'm pretty sure they know with all their technology who this guy is, where he came from, his mother's second grade teacher, or whatever the case may be. they definitely have much more information than they're willing to share. But we have to be careful about this. So we're going to keep, updated on this story. And y'all let me know what y'all think about the information so far received. And I thank you guys for watching. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. If you do like this content and want to help this channel grow, please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you $1. But what it does is help my videos be pushed more into the internet space at a more frequent and regular basis. But I thank you once again for liking, sharing, commenting, watching, subscribing, and all of those things. And as always, I pray you peace and blessings. Just says all things that are hidden shall be revealed, and those things done in secret shall be exposed on the mountaintop.
Let's go, Rich. You watching Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. The propaganda grammar, don't believe none of it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it, you should tune in to Telehouse Publishing.
Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long.